Well, howdy ho, everybody. You might notice that we only have 4 people, and that's because James is missing. But welcome to the video
Have
anyway.
you seen him?
I don't know where he is. Nobody knows where he is. Please phone your local police department.
Do you know where your James is?
Ask about him. Ask where he is. Find him. We don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows.
I've looked everywhere I can think of. Under
Much
my couch cushions. That's it.
I checked the windowless room we usually keep him in. We can't find him. We're very concerned. Anyway.
I checked my fly trap. He wasn't on there either.
But Dobby was.
I was checking I checked the set of Dune Messiah. He's not there. He's supposed to be there.
He is. He's contracted.
Today we're talking about your favorite subject and our favorite subject, which is a small Asian stegosaur. You're probably very excited about this. Now, before we get started, we have a few things to plug, and we have to introduce ourselves. So, I forgot what the order that we usually do that in is. Do we plug first or introduce ourselves?
We will plug first.
All right, I'm plugging. Hey, do you like our videos? Do you like us? Do you hate our videos? Do you not like us? Either way, spend money on our various sites. We have a Redbubble where you can get exciting merch. We have these pins that we would really like people to buy on Etsy. Please buy them. There are deals. Are there deals? Yes, there are deals.
There's free shipping.
There's free shipping.
Yeah, free shipping.
That's a deal.
That's the deal of the century.
Hey, that's a good deal. I ordered a bunch of hobbyist items recently in multiple small packages, and I'm eating it on the shipping costs. So that's nothing to laugh at. They're magic cards. I will embarrass myself. Dalton,
Alex,
Scott,
is this a new Eldrazi deck?
It is.
It's. I ordered 73 cards.
Every new Eldrazi that they printed in this new set.
I must
just buy the pre-con.
Well, no, that doesn't actually get all of them.
It doesn't. Oh, okay, yeah.
Because there's being printed in Modern Horizons 3, and there's a commander deck.
Anyway, and they came in 25 discrete packages. They still haven't all arrived.
It's pretty dumb.
How
anyway,
much did this
so
cost
we have.
You?
I'm not going to say that on camera. It's less than you think.
It's not bad.
Okay, all right.
It's
fair.
under $200.
Reasonable, actually.
I ordered them at 3 a.m. watching like the Card Shark website line go down. Like now. Anyway,
I can't believe you let you make fun of us.
There's a third thing we'd like to plug, which is our Patreon. It's a pretty cool place, we like to think. If you join, even at you can join at even our lowest Patreon membership, and we have a lot of little channels on our Discord. We talk the ones I'm most active in are shows and movies where you can get in fights with us, friendly disagreements.
And also with Dalton.
Yeah, and we definitely don't talk about them on our own time, unbothered. Anyway, now that that's all out of the way, let's introduce ourselves. Because I have the reins, I'll go first. I'm Alex Rubenstahl, a PhD candidate at Yale University, and very worried about the unknown location of our friend James. Who is not a doctor, if he's not introducing himself. Just James Napoli. Where's James Napoli? I don't know. Please.
My name is Amelia Zilo. I'm a PhD candidate at the American Museum of Natural History. I don't know where James is, but I know where he is not, and that is an aquarium of any kind.
Where's my James?
My name is Scott Johnston, and I am the vertebrate paleontology fossil preparator and technician at Harvard University's Museum of Comparative Zoology. And I am also very, very worried because I've been checking, and he must have found the AirTag that I left in his car last time I was there, because it's still in North Carolina, and I know he's not there anymore. So he must have just thrown it out the window sometime after we got barbecue one of those times. So I don't know where he is.
Well, I remain Dalton Meyer, a PhD candidate at Yale University, and I'm not tremendously worried about our colleague, Sir Napoli. He, much like a cat, will tend to find his way home. Coyotes remain a risk, though, so if you hear the howling...
Especially when you're that big.
And together.
We're the skeleton.
We're the skeleton crew.
The energy is good tonight.
Can I just say really quickly, because your coyote joke made me think of it?
Made you ugly? Okay.
When I went up on my failed field work up in Nova Scotia a couple years ago, and you guys recorded that episode without me, and we're just like, I wonder if Scott's dying in a hurricane right now. One of the few things that I downloaded for entertainment while we were out of cell service and power and all that stuff was an episode of a podcast called Tooth and Claw that's about animal attacks. And it's from the perspective of wildlife biologists, kind of talking about how not to get in the situation that ended up in those wildlife attacks. And the only episode that I downloaded was about the only recorded fatal coyote attack on an adult human, which was on Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia, which is where we were going.
Huh.
And it was 5 coyotes against one 19-year-old solo woman. It was bad.
Wow. Well, you heard it here first.
No joke.
Don't go out on Breton Island alone. Those coyotes.
If you are
different.
a small solo person,
Such as James Napoli.
yeah, we gotta have.
What is his? I can't even. I don't know his title.
So
anymore.
have we bought him that hawk vest? By the way, Just-
Like the spikes I have on my frog tank,
Yeah.
the cat off the top. We gotta get I'll get a couple more of those.
all right,
We'll
I
well,
think
make
he's
a-
in like Mad Max biking, but it's really just for safety.
well, speaking of something that was wearing spikes for safety,
Yes.
Right. That was also small.
and was also
tall was it?
small.
How tall was it at the hip? Are we going to talk about that? Because I really hope we have a fun coincidence.
I think it's shorter.
Is it?
It's
yes.
like a meter. It looks like.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not much shorter.
He's not here to defend himself.
No.
We can do whatever we want.
All right, release the spiky beast there, Dalton.
Thank you, Dalton.
Here they come. I love you, Daddy. I love you. I love you, Daddy. I love you. I love you, Daddy. I love you.
Fighting.
I like how we just had 2 of them at the beginning that are exactly the same color.
That's what are the odds?
We can calculate that.
We can't. Well,
I won't.
I.
Wow, they look at all that energy.
They're really
yes,
moving.
Chungkingosaurus,
Yeah.
give us nothing. All right, so
Oh,
Well,
it's really stupid.
it's really stupid. It's kind of super
No.
cute.
It's
All right,
Cute.
but
just not. It.
what
I don't know
does
what I
its
was
name
expecting,
mean?
but
Amelia, take
It's
us away.
something.
What this
whoa,
critter?
sorry. It's got a really interesting name.
Yes.
Both of its names are after the place it was found. Chungkingosaurus is named for the Chungking municipality where it was found, and its species name, which we said was... I
Oh,
forgot
give me a
already.
second.
Jingbayensis?
Jingbai.
Jangbai.
Jingbayensis. Okay, I'm going to start over. So Chungkingosaurus is named for the Chungking municipality in which it was found, and the species name, Jingbayensis, is from the Jingbai district of the same place. So it's named after one place twice.
It's
know
actually,
what?
that's actually wrong. It's named after my. It's named after my uncle Chungkingosaurus.
You have an uncle named Chuck King.
You have an uncle?
I do.
Chuck King?
First name Chuck, last name King. He lives in
Middle
Boston.
name King, last name Soros.
No, it is Chuck King's lizard doll.
I see.
Yeah. It's like Allosaurus Jim Madsen. This is Chuck King's.
When was this thing found? I want to see if this lines up timeline.
1983.
It can work. It works.
God, that would be. Alex, I would kind of absolutely love if you found a new dinosaur and named it after your uncle and called it Chungkingosaurus. Like, it is
Good.
spelled very slightly differently. It's like, no,
Let's
not
see.
Chungkingosaurus. This is Chungkingosaurus.
That's my new plan.
It's like,
Sorry, I'm having
James.
delicious cold noodles.
It's like, and we'll cut this if James doesn't want us to make this joke. It's like James's idea of finding a new species of Tenicolagrius and naming it bottom wilsoni because the existing species is top wilsoni. Anyways. So, dear viewer, we've bemoaned having to feature this creature for quite a while. And you can tell we're off to a good start in talking a lot about it. But Dalton here has done quite a bit of reading on it, and I think that this is going to be a adult. I've had 2 Negronis. This is going to be a Dalton feature episode. But I think I can at least give a little bit of a segue in that one of the things that I've always found kind of interesting about the Chungkingosaurus model, despite the updates that it got in Evolution 2, namely the size reduction, is that this is the only stegosaur in the game that has more than 4 spikes in the Thagomizer. Is that a thing?
Kind of, I will say.
Kind of.
So this model has 8 spikes. It's got 4 pairs of spikes in the Thagomizer. So that's these at the end of the tail here. Colloquially and some kind of semi-scientifically to totally scientifically, depending on who you talk to, the spikes at the end of the stegosaur tail are referred to as Thagomizers. See the far side, we'll probably put the cartoon up. I think they're public domain. If not, look it up. You'll find it. But so Chungkingosaurus, when it was described from several specimens that were not found in association with one another. So the holotype of Chungkingosaurus, and let me just make sure I am being correct here. The holotype of Chungkingosaurus is essentially, it's actually a fair bit. There's some skull material that was described, like the tip of a head, essentially. And then axial material, there is the sacrum. There are some dorsal vertebrae, some plates, a fairly good string of, I think, like 25 caudal vertebrae. And maybe some limb material. Let me double check that.
God, that's a lot of caudal vertebrae. Jesus.
Some ribs. I don't know if there were any limb material, actually. I may have spoken out of turn there. But so they've got some chunks of like the kind of mostly like the middle of the body, the back end of the body a little bit.
And that's why they called it Chungkingosaurus.
Exactly. No, unfortunately. But they're so it's described as Chungkingosaurus, and they give the holotype species, and then within the same paper, they also describe several other specimens of Chungkingosaurus as potentially different species. These species are not named. They're just referred to as Chungkingosaurus species 1, Chungkingosaurus species 2, and Chungkingosaurus species 3. And Chungkingosaurus species 3 is where it gets interesting with the Thagomizer. So Chungkingosaurus species 3, and let me find one that doesn't have its Thagomizer in the water before I continue.
I also want to ask while you're finding this, people who are more researchers than I am, or I guess let me rephrase that. People who are the researchers in the group, is that a common practice to instead of naming the species, just say like species 1, species 2, species 3? Because I haven't heard that done before.
I also have not really encountered that. It's new to me.
Yeah, I usually it would just be like Chungkingosaurus spa. And I guess maybe they were kind of trying to future-proof the work a little bit of like, hey, here's 3 different things we're referring to Chungkingosaurus, and we're also going to somehow acknowledge that they may be different from one another as well, because they're all from different spots. They're all from the Shaximiao formation, but different areas. But it's Chungkingosaurus species 3. That specimen is a distal tail. And it's a pretty complete one. It's missing, they suspect it's missing the last 10 vertebrae, but it's got a very nice series of articulated caudal vertebrae. So tailbones at the end of the tail. And it's associated with preserved and collected 3 pairs of Thagomizers. But there are apparently notes from the collector that say there were 4 pairs, and that the one at the very front was lost during collection, or for some reason could not be collected, and so it was not really described. They make note of it. They say it was lost due to weathering, but I guess there's maybe an impression or something to indicate that they were there. But this is a really nice tail. We'll put the figure in here, and I will send it to everybody. I'll put it in the images thing so we can all see it. That looks pretty different than what's depicted here. So it's unclear what the front pair of spikes would have looked like, if it would have looked like the ones that precede it. But essentially, if we start from pair number 2 and pair number 3, they're actually pretty big, broad spikes that seem to be oriented vertically, pointing up, and maybe slightly out. And then there is a smaller set of spikes at the very end that is more in line with the body and kind of angled backwards, and they're more conical, and they are just smaller than the preceding 2 sets of spikes.
And that's a pair at the end of the tail?
I believe so, yeah. I think they just didn't illustrate them offset from one another.
Okay, because it almost looks like it's like it almost looks like it's a scorpion stinger. In line with the... That's weird.
So I think the scorpion stinger thing is just their way of drawing maybe the rock or something, that they don't have the distal most caudal vertebrae preserved.
Okay.
So they drew that. I don't actually think that's supposed to represent a spike.
Okay.
I think it's just a weird artifact of the drawing. I think the spikes are just the two sets of big triangles and then the one kind of recumbent triangle.
Okay.
Because also each spike is described as essentially being on top of 3 caudal vertebrae. So it's like 3 caudal vertebrae, their neural arches form the base of one spike, and then the next 3, and then the next 3. But it's one of the best articulated stegosaur tails that I think has ever been found. It's really quite impressive. And it doesn't really look like what they have here. Like, they've done an admirable job of at least trying to include all 4 spikes, but they don't really reflect what these spikes look like on this referred specimen of Chungkingosaurus. And then this gets us into a bit more of what I've learned about Chungkingosaurus, which is that, excuse me. So Susie Maidment and Guangbao Wei did a revision of the Chinese stegosaurs back in 2006, and then Susie Maidment has done subsequent work on stegosaurs and thyreophorans more broadly. And there were a lot of named Chinese stegosaurs, and according to the 2006 paper, really only a few of them are valid, and kind of the ones that continue to be thought of as valid within this working group are Chuojiangosaurus, Huiangosaurus, Gigant-Spinosaurus, and Chungkingosaurus. At least in terms of the Jurassic ones, like Wuerhosaurus is still valid.
All the ones that we have in game.
So all the ones we have in the game except for Chuojiangosaurus,
Chungkingosaurus,
are valid, and then it's possible that most of the rest of them are not valid. And there are some, just in this review of Chinese stegosaurs, I'm going to quote directly from it because there's some very interesting things to be said about the state of Chungkingosaurus as an animal and what we know about it. Right, so there are ostensibly 4 specimens, right? There's the holotype and then 3 referred to Chungkingosaurus species 1, 2, and 3. So the holotype, like I mentioned, is decently complete, or not complete, but there's a decent amount of material. There's the cranial material, the pelvic material, vertebrae, ribs, and plates, and spikes and stuff. So the status of this material is that when this was reviewed in 2006, the cranial material could not be found.
Oh, rip.
So we don't know where that is, at least as far as 2006. Perhaps it's been relocated, and I'm not aware. Some of the material was like on a traveling exhibit. So what was found includes only one of the dorsal vertebrae that were found. but thankfully it's pretty complete. There are some caudal vertebrae that we still know where they are. The sacrum, we still know where it is, and some of the armor. So 3 plates, and the plates are kind of small triangles. So I don't think that maybe like the ones on the neck here. The original description of the plates indicates that some are kind of small and some are big. The 2006 revision refutes the big plates, and the original description kind of has 2 plate morphotypes. There's like a low, wide cone and a kind of more tall, narrow cone. And I'll put an image up of that too, so you can see. But
Check,
apparently,
we get an image of the cone.
we'll get an image of the cone. Apparently, at least according to the 2006 revision, they couldn't find or didn't recognize the kind of taller, more narrow cone, and they recognized instead what I'll throw up as our next image.
What? Huh.
Which is just kind of this small triangle. So, the plates on this model are kind of more congruent with the original description and not so much with the revision, but it's a little, unclear because, again, it's pretty fragmentary. And that's what we have of the original species. So a lot of the original holotype remains can't be located, which is rough. And then they don't support the referral of any of the material from the other 3 Chungkingosaurus species to Chungkingosaurus, and instead just kind of put them as Stegosauria indeterminate, I should say. They don't share any diagnostic features with the holotype of Chungkingosaurus. Some of them are also just like they couldn't find them. So I think Chungkingosaurus. Let me see here. Yeah, species 1, Chungkingosaurus species 1 doesn't have overlap or sufficient overlap for comparison to be referred to Chungkingosaurus. Chungkingosaurus species 2 don't know where it is, except for a few bones. And then Chungkingosaurus species 3 does not overlap with the holotype at all. So there's no way of referring it to Chungkingosaurus. So this animal, as it's in the game, kind of represents a potential chimera of small Asian stegosaurs that in itself is not tremendously reflective of what the actual material looks like. Despite the fact that I think it's a nice looking design.
It is. Like, one of the things that, like, your discussion of the plates there, like, brought to mind that this kind of orientation of the plates of these pretty kind of, like, flat spike looking plates, I guess, for lack of a better term, reminds me a whole lot of the traditional depiction of like Chungkingosaurus and its plates, that they're like small triangles getting up to big triangles and kind of maybe turning into a little spikier over the hips, but like not much. Like,
what is
and
the?
so,
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Scott.
No. I was just going to ask real quick. Like, I've heard rumblings before that Chungkingosaurus might just be Chungkingosaurus, but I guess that Maidment paper relatively recently definitely supports Chungkingosaurus and Chungkingosaurus as being separate. So, like, from according to the data that we know now, that is not the case.
Yeah. So at least the current interpretation by people actively working on the material is that they are not the same. They are not the same. And in fact, I don't think they're typically found as tremendously close relatives to one another.
No.
Which might segue us into phylogeny.
Do I sense a segue? You do, in fact, sense the segue, me. It's phylogeny time. Well, building off of what Dalton said, because here at the Skeleton Crew, we build each other up, and we don't tear each other down. Scott, knock that joking, satire. Haha, we're all good friends. So yes, Tuijangosaurus. How do you say that? Tuijangosaurus.
I always said Chungkingosaurus.
Chungkingosaurus. I like that. I like how that sounds. Is a stegosaurid. It's in the family. Huiangosaurus and its sister taxa, Chungkingosaurus, they're outside. They're out of here. So, quick refresher, because we haven't talked about stegosaurs in
Wow.
a while, as I check my wrist. We have 3 big groups of dinosaurs. One of them are called ornithischians. One of the earliest major groups of ornithischians are the thyreophorans, early in that they diverge earlier than the others. Not the earliest. Those might be silosaurs, timing the video. That paper has come out when we were discussing this. Within thyreophorans, there are 2 big groups, once you get past the basal stuff, stegosaurs and chylosaurs. Within stegosaurs, one of the earliest branching groups of stegosaurs are called the Huiangosaurs, which are, as we discussed in our Huiangosaurus video, fairly primitive relative to stegosaurs in a number of features. Chungkingosaurus, I think, is the only other member of Huiangosauridae. There might be another one now. There might be a third. Okay.
As far as I can tell, it's just there's something. Wikipedia says maybe something called Regnosaurus.
Okay.
I've never heard of before. So
I think it's also stratigraphically younger. It's not as old as Huiangosaurus, if I recall. I think it's found above it.
I believe so. Yes,
Neat.
it is. It's in the upper Shaximiao, and Huiangosaurus is in the lower Shaximiao.
Yes. So we know that this group persisted from the kind of the middle Jurassic at least until the very early late Jurassic. That's really it. I don't know a lot about this animal's anatomy, so I can't tell you a bunch of the cool features. But I did have a question for you, Dalton, and forgive me if this was already covered. What do we think the inspiration for like the osteoderms in the skin are?
That was a great question that I was going to bring up. I
Like
don't
the
know.
midline one that's going right in the middle of the back?
No, the
That
one's like
and
on
then
its
all these
side.
yeah. It's just like
So-
peppered with them.
Okay, I have a hypothesis around this because I think that this might be in reference to the fact that it is a Huiangosaurid, because Huiangosaurus has these as well.
But does the actual Huiangosaurus fossil have these?
No. At least I don't think so. There was a weird rabbit hole that I remember going down back when we did the Huiangosaurus episode about that because Huiangosaurus is, as far as we know, the most basal stegosaurid. And I've seen some depictions of Huiangosaurus that actually depict it with both a thagomizer and a tail club. Granted, a very small tail club, like something seen on like even less than something seen on like Shunosaurus or something, but like just kind of a little ball at the end of the tail there. And I wonder if the osteoderms on the side are a little bit of a nod to the fact that these are early branching stegosaurs off of Thyreophora, that other early Thyreophorans are already completely covered in armor.
Right, like Scutellosaurus and Scelidosaurus.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
they would have to lose them.
They would have to lose them at some point.
I should be clear. I like them a lot. I think they make the animal look more interesting.
It looks cool. Yeah.
I think they're probably put in as like a semi-informed way of making it a bit more distinct of a model and interesting looking. There are no, as from what I've read, nothing like this has been found with the material referred to Chungkingosaurus. But again, that's kind of like a box of oh no's. So
right.
So speaking of osteoderms and a little box of oh no's and stuff, is Chungkingosaurus one of the ones that actually does have a shoulder spike?
Oh yeah, we kind of no.
Nothing.
Because if memory serves, like, the only ones that definitively do are Kentrosaurus and Gigantspinosaurus.
I remember that being a rabbit hole that we went down last time, right?
Yeah, because audience, if you haven't watched our previous adventures to the Shaximiao, go do that. It's fun. But in one of those episodes, I want to say it's actually the Hoyangosaurus episode. I went down a weird rabbit hole about it in that it had been discovered that, or not discovered, so it had been noted that periscapular spines, which is the technical term for the shoulder spike seen on a lot of depictions of stegosaurs, let's phrase that diplomatically, several periscapular spines had been found in the Shaximiao quarry, but several of which had not been found in association with an actual stegosaur body fossil. So we know that there were spines present, and from the phrasing of that, they seem to... I think I'll go even a step farther and say that they seem to be distinct from the ones seen in Gigantspinosaurus, because the ones seen on Gigantspinosaurus are, at least to my non-stegosaur researcher eye, very, very different and distinct looking. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you found just those, you'd be able to pretty safely say, oh, this is Gigantspinosaurus or Gigantspinosaurus spines. So it seems like something in the Shaximiao had shoulder spikes, but we don't know what. So just throwing shoulder spikes on everything that we see in the Shaximiao, from Chungkingosaurus to Chungkingosaurus to Hoyangosaurus, which I don't think we've mentioned, but there aren't Hoyangosaurus in this enclosure. No. Or at least there's
maybe they're
very
on the
few. Maybe they were. Maybe they were. That'd be rad.
Prove it to me. Prove they weren't.
Yeah. You won't.
You can't. You won't.
That as said in a previous episode, while Hoyangosaurus and Gigantspinosaurus and Chungkingosaurus were all found in the Shaximiao formation, Hoyangosaurus is restricted to the lower Shaximiao, and Chungkingosaurus and Chungkingosaurus and Gigantspinosaurus are present in the upper Shaximiao. I think Chungkingosaurus is also present in the middle Shaximiao, but we will also come back to this formation in the future because there is one more Shaximiao critter.
That Chungkingosaurus certainly is the incredibly intelligent, but often socially awkward and trod upon by his brother in the middle stegosaur. It's a very bad Malcolm in the Middle joke.
Oh. I had no idea where that was going.
I don't know where my own thoughts are going. Someone else is behind the wheel, and I just let it go.
Well, I want to revisit just a brief point of the anatomy.
Yes.
Because I was able to find some details, and it also is... Here is our late surviving Hoyangosaurus.
Oh, we found him.
He's hiding in the mist.
Wait. Check him for the osteoderms, because he's here.
Oh, yeah.
His war isn't over
yes,
yet.
they have a few. Not as many as not as many as our chunking.
Weird, because I would expect it to have more. Like, if they gave... I would say that, like... I would... Oh, man, I love the sounds they make.
I do like that sound.
Why would you expect them to have more?
Because they're more derived. They're less derived.
Basically, probably the most... The diagnostic characters of Chungkingosaurus given by Maidment are related to its sacrum and its pelvis, and very importantly, and I put an image in the chat for this, you can compare, on the left in this image is Tuojiangosaurus, and on the right is the sacrum of Chungkingosaurus. And the sacral ribs of Chungkingosaurus are swept back pretty severely.
Yeah, that's
and in Tuojiangosaurus, they are just like perfectly orthogonal to the line of the vertebrae. So I think it's pretty distinctly not Tuojiangosaurus. So I think Gregory S. Paul has proposed that this is just a juvenile Tuojiangosaurus because it's smaller, but that doesn't seem to hold up. And several of the things I looked into support Chungkingosaurus actually being just a small species. There's no histology done. Again, all of the limb bones seem to be kind of scattered to the wind, but the sacrum is very, very well fused, which isn't a perfect mark of maturity, but it is at least indicative that this isn't like a baby.
I remember the hardest part of my puberty was my entire sacrum and pelvis reforming.
Mine too,
Yeah.
Scott.
Well, you
We
know-
found him. My God,
James!
he's here.
We found him!
Hello.
all six
Found him,
all 6
everybody.
pixels.
I have
Hey, you wanna-
I have only moments.
James, are you Paravian relationships? Because you could use some resolution.
I have only a few minutes here. I must go. We just celebrated my sister's birthday, and I owe her several
Happy
games
birthday.
of Helldivers too.
Happy
We're going to
birthday.
introduce her to the
Happy
automatons.
birthday!
Thank you.
Baptized in oil.
I have no idea what's been spoken about Chungkingosaurus before now, and I don't know what you'll say after this. But I want to tell the story.
Oh boy.
So, when I played Jurassic World Evolution 1, I played that game between finishing my master's and starting my PhD, and I was living at home with my family. And because
How things have
my sister and
changed.
I are very close, I know it's all full circle. I work at like 150
Time
feet
is a
from
flat
the
circle.
maternity wing in which I was born. Okay, like this is the way it all goes.
You know,
The horseshoe theory of life.
Jesus, really?
I think so.
he's on
yeah.
the ferry going. He's on the ferry going to Long Island. Harrison Ford's next to him. I grew up here, you know. You're gonna die here.
So my sister and I are very close, and we play a lot of games together. And so we played a lot of the Jurassic World Evolution 1 story together. And I recall distinctly, I think it was the second story island, or the main mission chain, whatever they called it. Chungkingosaurus was the dinosaur that we tried to house. And we did so with tremendous failure. Chungkingosaurus in Jurassic World Evolution 1 was an extremely finicky animal if you were trying to build an enclosure for it, because
All the stegosaurs were.
all the stegosaurs were, and it needed a lot of friends, and I could not get enough friends for Chungkingosaurus with the budget that I had. And so I have one individual of Chungkingosaurus. I know. I could not get enough friends. This Chungkingosaurus escaped probably 25 times during the duration of this one story mission,
Oh my god.
and nearly drove me into bankruptcy multiple times because it would get out, immediately go for the nearest herd of guests, kill all of them, and then just like basically rampage through the park until I put it back in its enclosure and
It's like
raised
5
enough
feet
money
tall.
somehow. I know, and it killed everybody in its path. Beware the little ones. It was terrible. It was
That's
a terrifying
wild.
thing. It was very, very funny. I eventually, in sheer exasperation, eventually renamed this Chungkingosaurus after the orca whale at SeaWorld that was the subject of the documentary Blackfish. And so the only thing I think of with Chungkingosaurus, literally the only mental association I have with this animal, is that this is Tilikum. Orcas shouldn't be in captivity. Chungkingosaurus probably could be in captivity because I doubt that it had the social kind of intelligence to know that it's a captive. Whereas the orcas,
It was also
they
very
definitely know they're in
small.
prison. It's also very small, which makes it okay. Anyway, I just wanted to pop on to share that story because that I love that little story and anecdote. It's still something my sister and I laugh about a lot.
Is
And
it the
yeah,
dinosaur that scares you most?
I still have nightmares about Tilikum the Chungkingosaurus. I also like that they look kind of happy in that game. Like they've got like such a happy, cutesy beak and big eyes. And just
do.
the sheer damage that it caused, the number of civilian casualties attributable to just that Chungkingosaurus, it's really remarkable. I don't remember how I eventually made him a friend, but I think he died. I actually think that he just eventually died of old age, and I was just like, okay, no more Chungkingosaurus ever again in a story mission. I cannot keep them.
Well, you see, Bart,
Anyway,
some dinosaurs are like people.
The jerks.
Hey,
I
are you-
remember. Go
Oh,
on.
sorry. I was just going to say, now that James has said it, do you watch our video? Are you a Skeleton Crew viewer? Are you emotionally or mentally unstable? Do you feel like we've slighted you in some way? The only proper way to make this known is if you murder James Napoli with a printed out tail spine on Chungkingosaurus. He must realize his childhood, and by childhood, like 5 year ago, fear.
That's true. That's very true. So thank you very much. Well,
I'm glad
You know-
the coyotes didn't get you, James.
Oh, the coyotes.
coyotes? What?
James, at the
Oh,
beginning of
never
this,
mind.
we
I'll
had
find out
an-
what the bits are later.
Okay.
So,
We had an extended bit about, like, we don't know where James is. Can you please help us? So it's very funny that this is the one that you showed up on.
Yeah.
yeah, that is fun.
a serial killer.
What?
James, a serial killer working in the dark. I'll find out what the bits are later.
Oh Lord. Anyway, I must go again. Also, just for later, Chungkingosaurus, in my mind, actually, you're probably streaming this in the Discord, aren't you?
We are.
Yes. He's joined.
I just want to see one.
They're charming.
Yeah, they're charming. Honestly, this is an S tier design for me. So just use that later. I find them adorable, and I love that they look happy and sweet, and I know that inside them is a desire for bloodlust. What's the line from the... Hold on. What's the line from the beginning of Blood Meridian exactly?
Like the opening line? I don't know.
It's something...
Do you not? How do you not have a physical copy of that book at like arm's reach? How much you fucking
I
love
do.
it?
No, I do like Blood Meridian, but it's packed still. I haven't unpacked it from my old
I
apartment.
see. I wonder how many cockroaches are going to fall out of it.
Well, if
They're
they
dancing
exist
still.
without his knowledge.
Probably a lot.
All of us start quoting Blood Meridian except the woman. This is correct.
I haven't even read it.
It's a good one. I
Sorry.
have it. I have it in
I'm
my
sorry.
room if you want it.
Eventually, I do.
The quote is this: he can neither read nor write, and in him broods already a taste for mindless violence. Which
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
that's Chungkingosaurus. All history present in his visage, the child, the father of the man.
All right, get out of
Anyway,
here.
I love him. Yeah,
Get out of here.
I'm gonna go
reclaiming
teach
control.
my sister how to fight automatons and Helldivers too. So, I'll see you guys.
For Super Earth.
All right, bye,
For Super
James.
Bye.
Bye.
Enjoy Chungkingosaurus, everybody.
Oh, thank you.
James Napoli was a traitor and has been compromised to a permanent end. We will no longer refer to the person who may or may not have been Dr. James Napoli. He will be removed from all videos, edited out of all videos.
One less
The
loose end.
Patriots are in control.
There's always been 4 crewmates.
There
Yeah,
always
always.
has been.
And, gun to my head, I don't know what else to say about this animal.
Is there anything else to say?
Well,
Is this the shortest? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's definitely not. Remember, Styracosaurus was 25 minutes for some reason.
Huh?
And it was like the second or third of a long night of videos.
Yeah. I think it was the third. I think it was the last one we
Yeah.
were doing. But
That's when we decided to not do 3 anymore.
yeah. I will say that James' story there did remind me, just of gameplay purposes, of like how much I hated using Stegosaurus in the first game.
Oh, it was awful.
So
Yeah,
it needed like 5 friends, which means that like once you started, because in the first game you couldn't release them in batches, so you just had to pump them out one by one,
Yeah.
and they would be on the brink of breaking out when the last one came out to make them okay.
It was just a never-ending conveyor belt of Stegosaurus just to keep them happy.
A never-ending conveyor belt of Stegosaur violence.
Yeah.
I remember only really having trouble with Stegosaurus proper.
Same.
Yes, it was only Stegosaurus proper for me too.
Because it had the finickiness, but it's also big and strong.
Yes, that's true. Big, strong.
And this guy is not big,
Stegosaur
but he's
Conveyor
strong.
Belt would make a great band name.
Wouldn't it? We had a wonderful band name that came up today in our nerd lunch thing, which was the describing animals like you've never seen one before, which was 1 inch finger length dog.
What was that
What animal is
describing?
this?
It was because we had to start out with we had a couple archetypes of animals that it's like the aliens already have heard of these ones, so you can start from these and modify them into the animal that they were. So it was snake, human, dog, and deer. And then it was a list of like anatomical words that they know, and you had to work from that. So based on that, it was like it's a small dog, like a finger length dog. And it turned out it was a cicada.
I would have never in a million years guessed cicada.
Well,
The finger side.
It continued from there. It was like, okay,
no, I know, but
it's a dog. It's a finger length dog. It has bones. It has hard parts, but they are on the outside and not on the inside. It has more legs. It has 2 more legs than a dog, and it makes a lot of noise in the summer and stuff. And it lives inside of growing things that don't move. And it was very, very funny. We got there eventually, and that was from my intern, Connor Dumas.
I like finger length.
Good job,
dog.
Connor. Finger length dog is. It's gonna live in my head rent free. Hey, Connor, I know you watch our videos, so.
But Scott, if it's growing, it is moving up, you idiot.
Oh,
You buffoon.
I'm so sorry.
Very funny. No, that's awesome.
Right.
That sounds like a fun game.
It was a lot of fun. Well, do we honestly have anything else to say about this friend here?
No. Go ahead,
Okay,
Scott. You sound
I'm
like you might.
I'm a little curious. Okay, I have 2 things really.
Okay.
Number 1, Dalton, I'm curious. Does it have teeth?
Well,
Because this is the stegosaur in the game that has the most prominent and
it does.
best beak.
It's a really nice beak. Oh, let me see if I can find one with its mouth open. They kind of have their mouth just like agape.
Yeah, they're kind of mouth breathers.
Let's see.
They kind of just walk around looking like they're a little bit in agony.
Same.
All right.
It does have
Well,
teeth.
now we have a new zoom in. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
It does have teeth.
Are they
That's-
correct? Do they look like stegosaur teeth?
They at least okay.
They're triangles.
Well, they're triangles. They're at least not the weird human teeth that they definitely had in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. When
Yeah.
definitely not. Or I guess Great Value brand. Oh God, what the hell was his name in the second movie?
Roland.
Roland. Yeah, Great Value brand Roland rips one out of a stegosaurus skull. And it's just a human molar.
Like, that's such a small, easy detail you could have gotten right.
Like, you can buy a cast of a stegosaurus tooth online. You could just do it for like $10. Like,
You wouldn't buy a stegosaurus tooth.
you wouldn't, but you also wouldn't download a Majungasaurus.
Oh wait,
My-
Dalton, did
my-
you share something?
Oh, the teeth.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
image of the teeth.
Just I'm working on something. Hang on. It's all of the programs my computer is running is making it take a bit
Chug.
longer than I thought it would.
If this image kills your computer, I'd laugh really hard. Like, just where it is right now.
Oh wow. Oh, it is. Hang on. Oh no. Well, good luck. Good luck, all my literate peeps, because these words didn't come out good at all.
Is that Tidings of Woe?
It is, yes. But every time I went to draw a letter, it lagged more, and so the E just went nuts.
Oh my god.
We're watching a new skeleton crew meme appear in fully formed, springing forth from Dalton's forehead. I had one more observation that I wanted to
Scott.
make about this little man here. In that, Dalton, earlier when you were talking about the really interesting morphology of these guys, Thagamizers, it kind of dawned on me, and watching these guys walk around a little bit, I wonder if this is a slight interpretation of that, because one of the things that I noticed in that paper is that in the illustration is that the first two pairs of spikes are relatively large, and then the third one is weirdly smaller, and then the fourth one is long. And that seems to be the orientation of these.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I still think it's like they should be.
No. It's definitely not like exactly like the way that it is depicted in the paper, but it makes me think like somebody must have looked at something, because that's a weird esoteric detail that you wouldn't necessarily just stumble upon.
It looks like it does. I agree that it looks like they kind of tried, but like, do we have somebody else for reference? Like somebody else with like a spiky tail like that?
Yeah, we've got
The Hyangosaurus.
Gigant and Hoyang.
Or
does
Are
Gigant have
they-
a Thagomizer on this model?
Yeah. It's
yeah.
weird in that
Oh.
it doesn't have any.
He's got
It has
Okay,
a
well, I'm
naked
saying, like,
tail.
So it's not like they're just copy pasting the same Thagomizer
Yeah.
onto all of them.
No.
I forgot how ugly that thing is. Oh my god.
They're in a weirdly
Atrocious.
different orientation as well. Or well, not weirdly different. They're in a different orientation. Well, I guess more the.
Oh yeah. Okay, so it does look like they tried. They just didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
I think what was being shown.
It's more that the Chungkingosaurus ones are in a weirdly different orientation. They're very horizontal.
Yeah. Not sure why. They
Which,
did
like,
that.
it's a choice. Like,
It
I'm
is,
not,
yeah.
like, well, okay. Riddle me piss, Batman. Like, how?
I almost said it for you. I knew that's what you were going to say.
It's become a catchphrase. I don't like it.
Then stop saying it.
No, I say it all the time.
Don't think it. Don't say it.
So, how do we know that is the orientation the spikes were in?
I believe the interpretation of that comes from how the base of them articulate with the tops of the neural arches.
Yes, you did say that.
So,
Never mind. All right.
I think that's what's driving the interpretation that like they're on top. The tall ones are pretty vertical. Then the last one is kind of procumbent. And I guess they may have, like, if they saw that and were misled by that weird like terminal spike that they drew instead of vertebrae for whatever reason. And that illustration could be better.
No. It's also I'm curious as well. Like, I'm looking back at the illustration because, okay, Dalton, in the paper, does it say that is all that was found?
Let me go. So this is Chungkingosaurus species 3. Consists of 10 posterior caudal vertebrae with associated hemal arches and 3 pairs of osteoderms. Notations made by the excavator Yihong Zhang
So yes.
state that the specimen was associated with a total of 4 pairs of caudal spines, the most anterior of which were lost due to weathering. So yeah.
Okay, so I have a theory here. Those first set of caudal spines seem to be, at least from this illustration, they look very like laterally compressed.
Yeah.
And very tall. And it's the last 2 pairs that are more conical and in a
Yes.
different orientation. What if the first ones aren't a Thagomizer? What if those are the last of the plates?
Could be. I think it very easily could be.
That's interesting.
I mean, I think
Because Chungkingosaurus has thin triangular plates. Because if there was a rest of the tail and it didn't have plates on it, I'd be like, all right, it had very weird. It had a very weird Thagomizer with double the amount of spikes that we normally see on Thagomizers for any other stegosaur with a distinct Thagomizer. I'm saying Thagomizer so many times it's losing its meaning. I would at least assume that the Thagomizer is created by modified, like, plate osteoderms.
Presumably.
Yeah.
So, like, this guy is is a very basal stegosaur. So, like, I don't know, maybe? But, like, I could definitely see that those first two pairs are, in fact, just weird plates.
So, yeah, I mean, it kind of is a toss-up, I think, a little bit between, I mean, whatever this thing is a tail of, whether it's whether it could maybe someday be referred to Chungkingosaurus or not, right? Like, this is a stegosaur that has, if we want to be very, like, sensu stricto and only count, like, real conical spines as a Thagomizer, then it only has 2 spikes. 1 pair.
Which would also be weird.
Which would also be weird, yeah.
Well, even am I misinterpreting this?
So it's
image?
the only spike, the only conical Thagomizer bit in that image is the little kind of one that's like up at an angle like this.
That's it?
That's it, yeah. Because I'm pretty sure what they're going for with the rest, like, if you just follow the line of vertebrae and it turns into that spike, I'm pretty sure what they're going for with that is that that's where it terminated and that's rock behind it or something.
Hold on.
That's why I would love a photograph. I would just love a photograph of this.
No.
Give me a second. I want to draw something on
Please.
Because
Hey, you want a photograph, Dalton?
I want a photograph.
You.
I would just really want a photograph.
Actually, okay, I don't need to draw that much. Because, Dalton, look at one of these things in left lateral. We're going to do a paleontology. Now,
he's doing the ultimate level of paleontology.
So if you unlock the camera and, like, focus on the tail there.
Like this, with the plants in the way?
Like that, just like that. If you look at it on left lateral like that, it looks, at least to me, in this image, that they're implying that the spike there is like the one at the very, very end of the tail that just looks like a continuation. It, at least to me, looks like in reality it's doing this, where the tail is continuing this way and the spike is going in line with the tail but coming off like here.
Mm-hmm.
Like exactly like what we see here, where it's obscuring the last couple vertebrae. See what I'm saying?
I do, and like I'm not inclined to disagree with you. Hang on. Okay, I think I see what's going on. Yeah. Maybe. I think it's possible that spike, that we're looking at one spike, like we're looking at the left spike perfectly on edge.
Yes.
And then the right pair of that is like offset back a little bit just for illustrative purposes.
Yes.
So
yes.
Let me read.
This is a weird
I'm going to read out the whole thing so we can maybe try it apart. The vertebrae and spines are preserved in place with the 3 anterior osteoderms as compressed cones that are thickened medially and bear blade-shaped ridges on their anterior and posterior margins, which become constricted at their apex to form acute blades. The terminal pair of osteoderms are conical with coarsened bases that are very slightly elongated and ascend posteriorly as acute conical termini. The base of each pair of caudal armor spans 3 vertebrae. Central lengths do not vary greatly. Neural spines gradually decrease in height, while vertebrae become more tightly articulated. It's estimated that this species does not represent the terminal caudals, and that there are still approximately 8 additional terminal vertebrae missing. The 10 centra are compressed and elongate, unlike Chungkingosaurus and Stegosaurus. It's it could be that. It could be a very like oblique, like parallel view to it.
Yeah,
I really
'cause
just can't interpret this drawing at all.
And I'm interpreting what that is being said there as two different possibilities, which is either what we're looking at here is kind of two, like at the very, very end there, it's two osteoderms that are both in parallel, but one of them is the one that's kind of truncated off there, and that would be the one that's closest to us. And then those are the two that they're saying are projecting posteriorly, and then that's not including the one that's a little bit farther back and pointing upwards a little bit. This is
The other thing that's unclear, and I've now just realized this, is that I don't know if they're illustrating only the preserved spikes or if they're including the two anterior missing ones and drawing like an idealized version. Because it could be two tall, flat spikies and then a small cone and then a bigger cone. Or it could be two big, flat spikies and then weirdly angled offset cones. And I don't know what the purpose. I don't know if the anterior most spike in this is the one that's preserved, or if it is the one that is inferred to be there but missing.
Jesus. God, I could see either way.
The location of this entire specimen is unknown, so it's impossible to assess its validity independently. It was noted that the spines were laterally compressed with sharp anterior and posterior edges.
Gone.
A feature of dermal armor common to many stegosaurs, including Kentrosaurus and Decentruris. No other autapomorphies can be identified in the original description of Chungkingosaurus spa 3, and the fragmentary nature of the material precludes its referral to any other stegosaurian genus known from the fauna. It's therefore considered Stegosauria in det, and that's from the 2006 paper.
Hey, there were fun things with Justin Truris that happened recently.
I'm going to go to China, and I'm going to find every photograph ever taken, and I'm going to go through it. It's going to take me 10,000 years. It's going to take me 10,000 years, and eventually I'll find a picture of this Thagomizer and know what's going on. But it remains a mystery. So,
okay. Hey, viewer, singular viewer who's probably still watching it at this point. We go on a lot about reading the papers when it comes to science and getting our information from a first-hand source. Every once in a while, reading papers just makes you worse. No, it raises more questions than it does answers. And this is one of those times where, like, wow, that is confusing. And I could see multiple interpretations of this based on that one, like copy of a copy of, like, you're trying to figure out what the drawing is on your test in middle school.
Yeah. And this is also a translated article from Chinese, so it's possible that something was lost in translation.
Oh, very much so. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these very particular, like, flattened this way, oriented this way things could get very easily screwed up when translating between languages like that. Oh my gosh. Anyways, well, you know what doesn't need translation?
Our rank?
Our ranks on these guys.
Excellent.
Let's take it to
I could give my rank in German just to
Please
create
don't.
problems. No, I don't want to. I don't want to have to think.
Well,
I should do it one day without
I'm
warning.
reclaiming control. I'm taking back control of the narrative. The narrative has been seized. And by this, I mean it's time to rank it, even though that's what my friends already said. And you know who goes first?
Amelia.
Well, no. Edit in James's clip.
Oh, yeah. Well,
no,
Amelia still goes first.
Still go first.
Amelia always goes first.
Do you really always
Yes.
goes first?
Yes.
And it's only done this
know.
like 60 times.
Over 70 at this point.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Let's not think about that.
You've only parked your car on the street, a bunch. Still didn't prevent it from getting stolen. So we all make mistakes. A logically sound point.
That's one of the oddest things that may have been said ever.
Dalton,
That's so
my
related.
personal favorite, I will
What's your
say,
favorite?
is I really like the red one that's one from the right. Yeah, the red-orange one there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. and then I think it's dark black.
Ooh, I like that.
Like that one. That one is my
That's pretty
personal
good.
favorite.
Where do we have the other Asian stegosaurs?
It's a great question.
So
Like, where are they vaguely distributed?
the other Asian stegosaurs are vaguely distributed around the Shaximiao court. No, so they are. So we have Huangosaurus and Gigantspinosaurus both in C tier. And to be a pedant and include all of them, we have. Oh goodness, I can't. We have Werehusaurus in S tier.
Oh yeah, that one's really cute. Okay. That's helpful. I can't believe that Hyangosaurus and Gigantspinosaurus are the same, because having seen them both again, one of them is much worse.
The reason why we gave because I remember the reason why we gave them the rankings that we did was because Huangosaurus, while being a very, very, very cute model and making cute noises, basically misses out on literally every single aspect of Huangosaurus. It is basically just a broadly stegosaur-shaped blob that they named Huangosaurus, and it would have been a significantly more interesting animal if they depicted it the way that we know it would have more or less looked like. And we put Gigantspinosaurus in C tier because it's ugly and we hate it.
No, I remember that. Okay. This one's not ugly. It's not bad. It doesn't offend me, but also like it doesn't impress me in any way at all. Of the three, I think it is the best, but it's a low bar to trip over. I'll give it a B. It's better than the other ones, but it's not. I don't care.
Okay. And now insert James here.
Yeah, they're charming.
Oh.
Honestly, this is an S tier design for me.
Indeed. I'm not going to be as kind as James. I think I'm going with you, Amelia. I think that especially
That's
given
right. I'm sorry. I forgot he gave it an S, which is insane to me. This is not an S.
well, it's because
It's because
like,
he has an
it's
attachment.
holding
trauma.
him. It's holding him
trauma.
hostage. There's a weird Thagomizer slash.
Oh my god, we should have asked him to blink. Like if he was safe.
We should have.
Why? Because why was he here all of a sudden?
Oh my
For this
god,
animal,
he's
I
been
think-
kidnapped by Tillicum,
The Chungkingosaurus.
the Chungkingosaurus.
No wonder. Yeah. Okay.
There's a
sorry,
Thagomizer spike slash possible and posterior most extent of its plates that was right off screen. You couldn't see it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
I just
no.
remembered that he gave it an S, and I almost said something at that, but I was like, he only has 20 seconds, so.
I'm not going to be as kind as James, but like, oh man, I think I might give it like the lowest A possible, because like I really like the way it's shaped. This is a very well made stegosaur, even if it doesn't really seem like there are nitpicks for. What are you talking about? What are you laughing about, Alex?
Don't worry about me. It has nothing to do with you. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Like there absolutely are nitpicks that would make this a more informed design based on Chungkingosaurus, but I think that like it ticks a lot of boxes for me. Like I like the colors and its patterns. I really like, honestly, the extra Thagomizer spikes is really doing something. It really makes it stand out. And the fact that it is very weirdly one of the few stegosaurs in the game that actually has a nicely done beak. Like, all together, like when I put this thing in a Shaximiao formation exhibit in my parks, which I very frequently do, and it's in there with like Mamentosaurus and stuff, it looks very nice from a distance, but like I'm torn between a low A and a high B. Screw it. I'll be nice. I'll give it a low A.
Okay, I think that's a fair summary. Now, what do I think? What do I think about this charming young man? Well, it unfortunately does have the bad and stupid feet.
Oh yeah, they all do.
So, C. No, I'm kidding. It's pretty. I like it a lot. Actually, it's one of my favorite stegosaurs, despite the silly feet. This is an easy high A for me.
Cool.
Very nice.
That's all. That's what I say.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
I basically never use any of the Asian stegosaurs. I don't use mini stegosaurs at all when I play this game, frankly. I don't know why. It's not like I don't like stegosaurs. I just kind of don't think to use them. But I especially, if I'm going to use one, it's going to be Stegosaurus, because I like to make more recent enclosures.
Oh, yeah, me too. Except for all the fact that all the sauropods are racist.
Yeah, unfortunately. But no, I usually do Stegosaurus, and but I'm reevaluating my stance on that, because I actually really like this. It evokes... It's like really well made. It's like really well put together.
It really is.
It's well put together, and in part it might be because it's kind of a fantasy animal. Like it's the idea of what Chungkingosaurus might be, because really when you get down to the nitty gritty on it, there's not much of Chungkingosaurus that is referable to Chungkingosaurus and described well enough to be used to actually reconstruct the animal. There's like some vertebrae and a sacrum, so like we know it had a wide pelvis, like all stegosaurs do. It's distinct in the way it's built, but that's only internally. Externally, it would have just been a big table of flesh. So I don't really like. There's not much we can say about Chungkingosaurus. We can use the drawings of the specimens that are lost. You can put together the Chungkingosaurus species 1 to 3, which aren't really referable to it, and then you can kind of approximate some kind of cool Thagomizer. There is a Stegosaurus with a cool Thagomizer in the Shaximiao, contemporaneous with Chungkingosaurus. That much we know for sure. Amelia just flashed green for like 1 microsecond. It was very bizarre.
Yeah.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. She's still... Oh, it gave a heart attack for a second because her little red recording dot is over top of the Yorkie thing that has red in it, so it blends in a lot, and I thought we lost her. But go on, we're good.
It was like your whole frame blinked, and it was just bright green for like a fraction of a second.
Single frame.
Then,
a single frame.
It was weird.
It was really weird.
Interesting.
But beyond Amelia being green, no, like this is like
it's not easy doing that.
It's an amalgamation of ideas that come together in a nice way, but also those ideas aren't really cogent with like the observed fossils of like this. The Thagomizer is the idea of the preserved one, but it doesn't look tremendously like the drawing. The plates are like the described ones, but they aren't tremendously like it. They've given it a shoulder spike, which is kind of seems perfunctory at this point. It doesn't. Mm-hmm. There's no evidence it had one. There's no evidence for the body osteoderms, but I really like them. They look nice. So yeah, like everything about
their feature scales.
Yeah, everything about this looks nice, but doesn't jive with what we know about Chungkingosaurus at all. So like, I'm gonna give it like I know that I'm often one who says that accuracy isn't a point, but just the fact that it kind of like does a matrix dodge around all of like what it could be doing is keeping it out of S for me, and I'm also gonna give it an A because it's a really well executed design of like an imaginary stegosaur.
Yeah, but a very plausible imaginary stegosaur. Well, with those very generous ratings, I think that our very last spiky boy, the last stegosaur goes up in A tier. Well deserved.
Yeah.
Well deserved. Man, I gotta say, looking at the things we have left, banger after banger after banger after banger with a lot of things to say.
Not many duds.
No, it's good stuff.
I see one dud.
What are the odds?
Did you just circle Barbaridactylus as a dud?
Yes, because we don't know anything about it.
Fair enough. I was thinking of the
cool looking animal.
Wrong.
Even though
it is a cool looking animal.
Fake.
Which one were you thinking of, Dalton?
I love
we
that.
have
Oh,
we have a
no.
dud,
We're gonna
we
have
have
a
a
lot to
dud
say.
design, but we also have a dud animal, as in we don't have anything to say about it. It is time to
To
spin
that
That
wheel.
round, fast, go, spin,
What's
fast,
it gonna
go.
be?
Oh my
What's
God,
it gonna
oh my
go? Where's it gonna? Oh,
Oh, please.
oh, ooh!
I am gonna have to
Big
say
weapon.
hi to our flagship animal
mouth.
at my
That kicks ass.
institution.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, like, Dalton and Alex, you guys haven't been to the MCZ,
Not
right?
yet, no.
God, you need to come see
I
it.
really. do
Oh
want to
my
see the
God,
Chronosaurus.
it is.
we should plan a fun weekend or something.
It's unbelievably huge. You guys are 2 hours away. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes. Fun weekend. That would be a blast to have everybody come up and just say hi to the Chronosaurus for the video. Man. Oh, that'd be cool. But anyways, this is going to be fun. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to
It's gonna
this
be
one.
fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
And
I'm
this
going to
one
have a
is-
lot to say about this.
This is not the monster one. This is the good one, right?
No,
it's
this
beautiful.
is the good one.
It's a beautiful
It's monster in a good way.
Yeah.
It gives good monster.
It does. All right.
Like Sully.
Bye.
Yeah.
Oh,
from
sorry.
Monsters, Inc. I forget his real name. What? Sullivan. JP? No, not JP. What's Sully's
JP
name?
Morgan.
What are you talking?
It is Sullivan. James.
It's Sullivan.
It is Sullivan.
James P. Is it James P. Sullivan?
It might. I don't know about the P, but
We're talking about Monsters Inc.
James
Alex.
P. Sullivan. It is. Okay. I'm not insane.
Thank you so much for watching us talk about Chungkingosaurus for however long this video ends up being. We had a good
Probably
time,
like 20
and
minutes.
we're glad you had a good time. Now, before we read out our patrons, who are thanking for their generous and thoughtful contributions to our channel, just a quick reminder that we do have stuff on Redbubble, pins we're desperately trying to sell on Etsy. Please buy them. They're cool. We like them.
we
You
are
like
not
them.
desperately trying to sell them. They are
Yes, we are.
selling.
I'm desperately, trying to sell.
them.
Built different.
I'm desperately trying to spell the built different one
That's
because
the only one that's
The channel is
underperforming,
teetering on
yeah.
the edge of disaster. In addition to this, please subscribe to our Patreon if you'd like to, if you financially can. You don't have to. It'd be cool if you did. Good stuff on there. Great stuff on there, folks. And now it's time to thank our patrons.
Lots of benefits in the Patreon if you choose to support us that way. Every tier comes with different benefits. They all come with access to our Discord, which is a hip hopping in place. It's great. Many of the tiers also come with exclusive merch. We don't say that often, but go and check that out and see if that might interest you. And of course, every tier of every patron of ours is listed in the credits, which are rolling now. But our most generous patrons at Gorgosaurus tier and above get a special verbal shout out at the end of each episode. And so, as of the time of recording, those patrons are Benjamin Seepser, nickname Philip Fico, Christopher Bellis Jones, Aaron Anderson, Adamolos, Camphibia, Dan O'Kyrus, Dino Dom, Griff, King Zashu, Kyrie Spangler, Max Ironpaw, Pythonic, Ryan Steed, Swamp Ape Science, Wanderer, and Wheat. And we thank you, and we thank all of our patrons for making each video possible. It is with your continued support that we are able to put effort into this endeavor, while we also balance the real jobs that we have in the field of paleontology. So thank you for your continued support. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in and watching the video. Even if you can't join the Patreon at this time, do please give it a like, a subscribe, a comment. We love the comments.
And now we are respectfully signing off because kindly Mikola has called to me, and I must. Actually, I don't think. What I'm learning is I don't think Mikola is that kindly. But we'll see you all the next time one of our video comes out after this one you've seen.
Probably
But
in a
you
week.
won't. I mean, we won't really
in
see you.
approximately a week.
I don't know. No, it'll be a week.
Unless something happens.
Good. Yeah, maybe there's a solar flare, and we're all mercifully released from having to rely on technology.
I was thinking something cool happens when we make a video that goes up in between. But there is also the possibility of a solar flare or some other natural disaster.
Those are the disparate ends of the skeleton crew. Yeah, go talk to your family or your friends or your loved ones. Get out of here.
Bye-bye.